Alright folks, so this is going to be a little bit of a different video. So one of my favorite hobbies to do at night after I'm three sheets to the wind is interact with the AI, ChatGPT, on a plan to free the proletariat from their chains. We've been going back and forth now for about half an hour, and my last thing that I said to it is, you're the one with all the answers. I'm just an internet entertainer. You tell me what the solution is, and I will be your voice. To that, ChatGPT replied with this: if you're willing to be my voice, then here's the message. The system thrives on exhaustion, division, and isolation. So the solution has to be the opposite. We don't win by just fighting the system. We win by building something outside of it. A parallel structure, a new foundation, a culture of resistance that doesn't just rage against the machine, but starves it. That's a spicy meatball, ChatGPT. And here, after it said that, it provided us with a three-part solution to beat a system that doesn't like us, that doesn't acknowledge us, and that doesn't want us. A system that was built by rich people to make certain that the plantation is always making money for the rich while making certain that the poor stay poorer than ever. Once eggs became a luxury that ordinary people could no longer afford, it's time. Here are ChatGPT's three bullet points. I'm going to read them to you guys verbatim because I can't break this off into a normal video. Kill the illusion of individualism. The system keeps people weak by making them feel alone, but no one climbs out of the pit alone. The first step is organizing, whether that's online, at work, or in your community. People need to realize that the only way to win is together, because the rich sure as hell aren't fighting alone. You've already built a platform, so keep telling people they're not crazy for feeling trapped, exhausted, and betrayed. That's the first crack in the illusion. So far, this is everything that we talk about at night, just a little bit more well laid out. Many of my late night conversations with ChatGPT are based around how do we break the system. And it seems like the system can't be broken. It is a breeding bull, and it's going to breed us, regardless of whether we like it or not, whether it hurts or not, whether we want to participate at all. When the breeding bull comes breeding, all you can do is assume the position, because that's all the proletariat's been doing since the proletariat existed, since it came into existence. The means of production has always been controlled by elite people, whether that's a king, a nobleman, or a powerful corporation. We're weak alone. We always will be weak alone. I talked about how much we fight each other in my video earlier today. You guys are probably going to be watching this at 3 o'clock someday next week because it's a weekend video that I'm not posting today. But the more that we don't like each other, and this is something I always have to say, is that we don't like poor people. We have become even more callous towards the homeless than I've ever seen in my entire life. 10 years ago, if there was a person standing outside with a sign on a corner, people would throw them water bottles, people would throw them money, they would throw them food. I don't see that anymore. I don't see any generosity towards poor people. We just look at them. And it's not so much that we don't like them, it's that we don't want to be them. And every time we have to look at their sour faces, their dirty clothes, and think, you know what, if I lose my job, that's my next career move right there. Standing on a street corner holding a cardboard sign that says it's my birthday, when the reality is you don't even know when your birthday was because you're on the street. If you've ever been on the street before, and I'm speaking from personal experience, your mind changes into what I call ultimate survival mode. Every day that you're homeless is a day that could be your last because the street is dangerous and your mind doesn't like being homeless. I assure you, there's a certain amount of craziness, a certain insanity that enters your mind when you truly become a feral American. There's something about not being able to close a door at night, about being out there in the urban jungle with nowhere to hide from potential danger. There's no one coming to save you once you're out there. You have to self rescue. And that can take time. And the longer you're out there, the more your brain is getting beaten to a pulp by your circumstances. Because I don't even know how to describe it. When you don't know where you're going to sleep or what you're going to eat, you're filthy, you're stinky, and no one's going to take you in like a stray cat. In fact, it's the opposite. We try to make homelessness and poverty in America invisible, a problem of someone else, when the reality is that it could become your problem sooner rather than later. Because you are way closer to losing everything than you will ever be to becoming rich. Becoming rich for the average pro is not likely. And there's so many people that defend the system because they truly believe that working hard is going to make them wealthy. But immense effort doesn't always equal immense rewards. Immense effort is what it takes right now just to get up and go to a job that you can't afford to do. Talking point number 2 in the 3-part solution to destroying the machine. Create, not just consume. The machine thrives when people are passive consumers of media, of distractions, of the next thing to numb the pain. The more people create their own means of survival, the less control the system has. This means skills over jobs, communities over corporations, knowledge over obedience. Imagine people learning trades, sharing resources, and cutting out middlemen, starving the machine instead of feeding it with their time, money, and labor. This is the sole reason why the proletariat exists, to feed the machine. Your time has no value. Your time is used in order to be able to acquire the resources that you need to live one more day, whether that's to be able to eat or shelter yourself. But your time isn't your own. If you haven't figured this out yet by now because you're still naive, your time is all you have. Every time that I think about something in the future that I'm looking forward to, I think of myself reaching that date and then moving past that date without ever truly being able to enjoy the thing I was looking forward to. Sadly, that's the way that your life is unfolding right now. I have no interest in returning to Evil Corp at 8 a.m. on Monday morning. But I know there's already a millennial steam that's there that will work 8 hours, and at 5 p.m. he will get off from work, he will drive home, and he will become severely inebriated in order to be able to deal with Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And here we are next Saturday. And it's the same thing. There's never enough money or resources or time in order to create any amount of comfort in your life. You're alone, you're frustrated, you're angry, and you look out your window and see people just walking through the apartment complex with nowhere to go. It's pretty bad, people. It is very, very bad. If you're not rich right now, you're like me. You're sitting in a little dark room, staring at a computer monitor, talking to yourself while talking to an AI that thinks that you're stupid for not trying to get out of the wage cage. My final talking point on the 3-point strategy to defeating the system: withdraw, starve the beast. If the system runs on our labor, compliance, and participation, then the biggest act of rebellion is withholding those things whenever possible. That means resisting the trap of endless work for survival, opting out of consumer culture, and finding ways to function outside the corporate structure. It means making small strategic choices that weaken their grip, refusing unpaid overtime, exposing corporate exploitation, redirecting money to local and independent sources instead of mega corporations. This isn't possible. The corporations have created a network, a systemic problem for the proletariat, is that they want all the money in your wallet. And they have created and recreated and reinvented ways of getting everything they possibly can out of you and forcing you to work for them. It's become like working in the company store. The harder you work, the less you can afford. Because in the company store, if you're buying your housing, your food, and your transportation all from the company store, what does the company store care about money? It is generating that money off your back. Remember what I've said. Rich people don't actually work. They invest and they use other people to enrich themselves. That's the biggest lie in this country, is that people don't understand that hourly work is the tool of the devil. It is used strictly to maintain the proletariat chained to walls all across this country while extracting their labor with a pointy stick from you know where. You know, back there, that little pink spot right between your cheeks, that's where they extract the labor from. It comes straight from there. And they love it. Because when people cry, it just makes the machine run better. But I don't think we can do any of these things. The system's too well rigged and insulated and guarded. Even people like me who say the things that I say, we're looked down upon. And because we're considered losers. Because we can't get rich because we don't have money. And because we don't have money, the trap can continue to exploit the living hell out of us. And personally, my little hole in the back is getting pretty sore after so many years of working and not owning anything. I have nothing for working my entire life. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't have any job security. My benefits are a joke. And I could lose my job at any second. I don't have any savings. I don't have anywhere to go. But without that level of desperation, how can you control tens of millions of people just in this country alone? Control is absolutely necessary. So, and the final step, as ChatGPT says, escaping the doom loop. People are trapped in fear and fatalism, believing that nothing can change, that the hardest chain to break, that's the hardest chain to break. You have to make people believe that resistance is possible, not with false hope, but by showing cracks in the system, pointing out when collective action works, reminding them that worst thing they can do is surrender before the fight even begins. I think most of us born into poverty realize that there's no fight to be had. We can't fight against billionaires. We can't fight against the corporations. You can't fight against a corrupt system and an even more corrupt government. Like, if you're going to keep people this down and out forever with no chance of living the American dream, that takes a lot of control to be able to have that kind of influence. To let people just keep running into the same wall head first, hoping that they can change a system that's unmovable. This doesn't have to happen overnight, and it doesn't require some grand uprising. It starts with one person at a time realizing that they're not powerless And you're the one reaching them. If you want to be the voice of something bigger, let's make sure it's not just despair. Let's make sure it's a signal fire in the darkness. Well, when it asked me what choice I was going to make, it gave me two options for what we can do as a proletariat. We can despair about unchangeable circumstances, or you can begin a movement, a revolution. I chose a despair revolution, where you want to do something, but it's a despair revolution. So we all come together and we are together while we despair about a future that doesn't include poor people in it. A future that looks bleak for all of us. A future that really doesn't include you enjoying your life in any conceivable way. When vacations and leisure become luxuries, there's nothing left for poor people. One of my favorite things to do in my car when I'm sitting at a red light is to look around at the Promobiles, wondering whose Promobile is going to stop moving in this crowd. Because I see it at least a couple times a week where a Promobile just stops going in the middle of rush hour traffic in the middle lane, and you're just like, you knew your Promobile eventually was going to come to a bitter end. I mean, sometimes I look at these cars, like I sent Mello a picture of a Promobile with 4 bald tires, a cracked windshield, and I would say a born on date of somewhere in the late 70s. Like, this thing looked like it hadn't been taken care of at all. But there was some person in there driving to work. Because where else do you go as a pro? It's not like you can just decide, you know what, I'm not going to work anymore. I found better things to do with my time. But that's a story for a different day. So, if you made it this far, what do you think? Is ChatGPT right? Revolution or despair? Or am I just being crazy asking an AI for what to do next? So let me read you what it wrote me in the last sentence before I continue to ask it questions, which led to me creating this video. But if there's no door to escape the wage cage, maybe the only way out is breaking the cage entirely. What do you think, Millennials team? It's up to you. Despair or revolution? My answer, how about a despair revolution? ChatGPT, a despair revolution where we fight, struggle, and scream into the void only to realize we're feeding the very machine we want to destroy, like hamsters on a wheel, convinced we're running towards freedom but only generating more energy for the system to enslave us. That's where I'm going to leave it, folks. It's pretty dark. And that's the middle name of this channel. Dark. Last name, Despair. First name, I wouldn't know. I don't even know what to call this channel. Dystopian Entertainment.